you stay in this way is great, yes, from a outward appearance standpoint, but is your outward appearance looking great worth you really dying slowly on the inside?
That is a great point. Greetings, health seekers. Welcome to the Master Your Thoughts podcast. I'm Judy Kobsar, and today's episode is on the most dangerous lie you can tell your body.
Yes.
My featured guest is Sharica Jackson. So excited.
Judy.
Hello.
I'm so excited to be here.
So we're going to be discussing how cultural ethnicity and racial backgrounds can affect our mindset. We're going to mostly about women, but men, if you're listening, you need to listen up.
Take some notes a little bit
to help your woman.
Yes.
How it affects our mindset towards health. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So many of you have already seen Sharica because Sharica is part of our Wellness Method team. We're blessed to have had her here for 9 months.
Yes.
Holy cow.
It doesn't even feel like it.
If you guys only knew the amount of progress this girl has made in 9 months and what she's doing from the day she started to what she's doing now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's how she rolls.
Yes.
So it's going to be a great conversation.
It is.
So Sharica is one of our wellness coaches here at Wellness Method, and she grew up the daughter of a track and basketball coaches. Both her parents were coaches. So sports were a big part of her life. Mm-hmm. She ran and played basketball and danced for 15 years. So we're totally kindred spirits.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Basketball.
Yes.
Dance.
Yes.
And track.
Yes.
So what was your event in track? What was your thing?
My thing was the 4x100 and the 440 is what we called it back home. And I really love that event.
We call them the yards too.
Got it.
It's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We weren't into meters.
No.
Not yet. Everyone's into meters now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I did cross country, which is a little bit more long distance.
That's crazy. So you were like a sprinter, but then you did cross country.
Yes.
Too.
Yes. And so as we head towards a later conversation, talking about a little bit of the DNA piece towards the end, is why I can do both.
Ah, so you're in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, lucky you.
Yes.
So basketball, what was your, so track, mine was the 330 low hurdles. So obviously we were in yards too.
Nice.
Mile relay and high jump.
I was always afraid of hurdles. In my mind, I felt like I was going to fall, even though, when you dance, you're doing all these wonderful jumps and things like that. So technically I should have been able to do it, but I something about running and doing the leg over, running again.
And the rhythm, like literally, if you get your rhythm wrong, then you got to go goofy foot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all over. All right. So she's also passionate about wellness and very passionate. And her husband, Marcus Jackson, who many of you have seen too, they actually entered our Recreate program right before the world shut down.
Yes. We came in for our consultation with you and Doc, I think end of November, early December. And then just based off of, it's holiday season. So we couldn't really start until about middle of January.
Yeah.
And a couple months in, it was.
And actually, the world shut down when you guys were moving into one of the most challenging phases in the program.
Yes.
And their results were amazing. I mean, you guys were amazing. I mean, all of our wellness partners' results are amazing, but literally this was like right at the shutdown and you guys just plowed through.
Yes. We really had to put our head down, for lack of better words, and just dig through it, because at that time, you eating out was not eating out, but getting taken or take out, whatever was really huge. And so it was easy to do that, but there's not a lot of healthy options for that. In the phase that we were in, it was just that time where you really had to make a decision.
Yes.
And say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we're going to eat. Okay, I'm a meal prep. This, we literally had to just dig in and say, this is what we're going to do.
And home, like all the time. And together, they did the program together, which is always good when spouses or partners do it together. So they not only really succeeded in their program, but then they have both gone on to become coaches and influencers and work with here at Wellness Method, and also just finding new and amazing ways to help our wellness partners succeed.
So we want everybody to succeed. We want everybody to have their own level of success.
Yeah.
And not just stop when you get somewhere, then what are you doing to keep pushing yourself?
Right.
And that's where we're at now. Like we keep pushing ourselves, but we're not, haven't forgot about anybody back here. We're like, okay, come on.
They're all coming along with you.
Come on. So that's where we're at now with our health journey.
So talk about your journey a little bit, you guys going through it. And what were your biggest struggles when you came in to work with us? And then what were the greatest changes?
Okay. So I'll start with me. My biggest struggle going in, I was having issues sleeping, number one, followed by, like most of them have self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out from a health standpoint, how do I get healthy and then stay healthy? Again, having coaches as parents, being, healthy, physical was really big in our household. But how do you maintain that, especially when you're on your own, parents aren't cooking for you.
Right.
How do you do this?
And you're not practicing for the said meet coming up or the basketball
tournament.
Exactly.
You're just dealing with regular life. And I knew I had gotten to a point where it was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I had some back surgeries in high school, and I can always tell when I've gotten too far because my
body starts,
my body will start talking to me.
Hello, Sharica. Yes. Pay attention.
Which just to make sure you're listening to your body. Don't ignore your body. If your body's talking to you about something, take a minute.
Because it doesn't have a voice.
Its
voice is the pain.
Its voice is pain.
And
yes.
discomfort.
And discomfort. Yes. And Marcus and I, one of the things we talked about just going into our marriage, we didn't want to be a couple that went this way.
Got it.
Because typically, when you're single, you're trying to stay fit,
right?
You're trying to look good,
you're on the market.
You're on the market, right? But then as soon as you're off the market, suddenly everybody's attitude about staying, attractive looking, so to speak, slowly goes out the window.
Yeah. And I got him.
Right. Good. I got him. I got her. Your six pack becomes, one full pack. And, it's a lot. Right. And so we decided we wanted to be healthy. And that was one of our main conversations. We had gotten married August, right before we came into the program. October, we had a conversation, and we were committed to making sure health was a huge part of our
and you
marriage.
did that together. Like you guys were on the same page with it.
Yes. And my husband had struggled a lot, his entire life. We had two different upbringings, which we'll get into, but just the way our upbringings went, health wasn't a huge deal for him. He wanted it as he got older.
Right.
But just coming up, that wasn't something that was a kind of a staple.
Yeah. And he talks about that.
Yes.
And so he and the Dr. Kobsar did a podcast, and I think ours is probably going to be airing before theirs. But if you guys want to hear her husband, Marcus's story, tune into that podcast too. But it's neat to be able to look at what you guys' different struggles were.
Yeah.
And your goals were different, but you both succeeded in your goals. So what were your biggest changes?
Biggest changes? Oh my God. So the first thing was my sleep changed drastically,
right?
Which was good.
Well, part of that was because Marcus
started snoring. My husband stopped snoring. Oh my goodness.
Once he started dropping weight and inflammation came down, right? He stopped snoring.
If I can't suggest any other reason for a couple doing it together is to get your sleep together. My goodness gracious, I hope all this simple stuff. Oh my goodness. But sleep was better. And then I started slowly but surely feeling more confident, and my energy changed. I felt, my skin was clearing up, quarantine didn't allow me to see my hair the way I wanted to see it.
Right. We kind of let that go.
We just kind of let that go. I just assumed it was getting, stronger and thicker and all that. I just had to assume stuff, right? But it really allowed me to be able to, move and do things that I had done maybe in high school that I couldn't really do to my best ability as a fully grown adult, Right. So it was really good to be able to have that confidence, to be able to have that surety that I can do this.
And that's a big thing for women, the confidence issues.
Yes.
Like it is a big deal.
Yes.
Like when we're younger, we just have natural confidence. Like we're just confident.
Right.
We're just rolling through life. And,
right.
But as we get older, then things start to pile up on us. And if it's our health, then we start to lose it.
And typically, as you get older, something ends up on the back burner.
Yeah.
You have so many different things. You got to work, if you have, if you're married, if you have kids, you have all these things. So typically women, unfortunately, we will put our health on the back burner, not knowing that we really need to get that in order so we can effectively do everything else.
And that's a whole different podcast.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But for women, and it doesn't even have to be that you have kids. It's just women in general as a nurturer. So we're going to want to make sure everyone else is taken care of before ourselves.
Yes.
But we have to shift mindset about that. And no, it's actually, it's not selfish to put yourself forward and take care of your health because you become more for the people around you.
Yes. It's everything becomes easier when you're healthy.
That's right.
You can run around with your kids. You can be the best soccer mom, basketball mom, because you're just shifting and moving so fast, even from a wife standpoint. I mean, sometimes that confidence issue will affect you in, bedroom, for lack of better words.
Exactly.
I mean, you start working on your health, suddenly you're not like, oh,
you're like, all right,
let's go ahead and do this.
I can take my clothes off and don't have to turn off the light.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Yes. The small stuff.
All right. So both you and Marcus brought family members into the program. And this is what we find actually across the board is that when you start feeling great, you just want other people to feel great and get success too. And it always starts with our family and then our friends. So you have brought your parents into the program. Marcus has brought his mother into the program, and they're in their 60s or 70s, right? So that tells you it's never too late.
It really is never too late.
Yeah.
And people now, I mean, if you're just kind of getting into your career groove and things like that, people are getting married later and things.
Right.
I mean, 60, 70 technically now is like the new 30, 40.
That's right.
So go ahead and get your health together at any age.
That's right. Because you're in your teens and I'm in my 30s now, right? All right. So the other thing that happened when you guys brought your parents in, and this is kind of where the conversation started cropping up of finding ways to help their parents, which they were dealing with different things, but it was about how ethnic backgrounds and your upbringing can affect your thoughts around what healthy actually is, what your body is doing and how it changes. So that became like a pinpointed topic for you, which is the main topic of what we're talking about. So, there's all these stereotypes and stuff. So talk about that. Talk about what happened that kind of spurred it. It was Marcus's mom and maybe your mom too.
So a couple of different conversations happened almost simultaneously. So on one hand, with my mother's kind of always been a little bit thinner. Which is fine. But when you start talking to her about like BMI and things like that, in her mind, she's like, that was never made for women of color.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I get that. And then on Marcus's mom's side, it was more like she had never really seen thin or healthy. Now, let me just bypass thin because thin people can be sick too. Yes. So healthy, and really what does that look like? And what does that look like from an African-American standpoint?
Right.
Because healthy on our side, if you were like a good 7 to maybe size 10-ish, healthy. You had the curves, you had all of these things going on and you looked good.
Yeah.
Even within my family, my own family, I have 2 sisters and brother. So, he counts, but for the sake of the conversation, I'm going to stick with me and my 2 sisters. And I was always considered the thin one. Even as I started, gaining weight, I was still the thin one, but I'm like, I don't feel that way.
Right.
I don't feel good. I'm having energy issues. I'm having sleep issues, you name it, but it was still at that certain size, even for my height, was okay.
And they were still considering you the thin one, even in your late 20s.
Yes. 20s and 30s, early 30s when I had obviously, kind of stopped, being.
You weren't in sports.
I wasn't in sports. Again, life.
Right.
I got life going on, but I'm still good at the 163, and I'm like, no, none of this is okay. I'm the one freaking out about the 163, but I'm still considered thin and still, looked good, so to speak.
Yeah, they're looking at you going, put some meat on your bones.
Exactly. You still want me to eat all the things. And I'm like, something about this is not right. I don't, and I had gotten, thin, but the first time I did that as a fully grown adult, it was a conversation. Now I look sickly. Now, I look like a white girl, for lack of better words, because from a stereotypical standpoint, Caucasian girls were likely more thinner, didn't have a lot of curves and things like that. But from Hispanic and African American, we did.
Right.
So as you started transitioning, then it was like, well,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You look so skinny.
Yes, you look, you look sick, and I'm like, okay.
And that's where you realize that there was this perspective from different cultures that could possibly and was kind of stopping your mom and Marcus's mom, or not stopping, because they both got great results, but they just weren't feeling good. All of their health markers look great.
Yes.
But they were feeling like, well, where'd my curves go? I'm not who I was. And so that kind of leads us to the topic of the body issue thing that's going on in our society. And this is a deeper conversation. And this is where, we just really felt like having Sharica speak to this would be really beneficial for everyone. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care how old you are, or even if you're a man, right? Yeah. Like, this is important, because what's happened is the body image issue, which is very prevalent in our society right now, which is kind of like the oversized is attractive. It's kind of ending up being a cover up for health struggle, inadvertently, like not intentionally. So when you make obesity, inflammation, heaviness acceptable
and attractive,
which, we're just going to show like a prop right here. Okay. So not showing the brand or anything, but this is what we're starting to see in society, which when you saw this, what did you say?
I was like, I understand.
Yep.
Because, you want two things as a woman, particularly, again, women. You want to be able to go into anybody's clothing store and still get your stuff and still feel like it's going to be cute. It's still going to be attractive and all those things, which I am 100% on board with. I should, at any size, be able to go in and find something cute to wear.
Right.
Regardless.
And so that's valid. Like, that ad is valid and very, like, it is attractive, but it's attractive in many different ways.
Yes.
It's going to relate to everyone.
Yes. But it's also the next person I've seen is we're making it okay to be a certain size, or just stop here. Like, you're going to be accepted. You're going to be, healthy at this size, when the reality is a lot of that stuff is really inflammation and just pain and all that covered up.
Right. And it's the path. We talked about this, that it's literally the path to illness, but it's a silent path. Like, most people don't know. We call it the silent killer. You know that?
Yes.
Dr. Kobsar talks about this, that inflammation, imbalance, obesity, heaviness, like all of that leads to and is the path to disease. It's not a myth. That's science, studies, data, and here for 26 years of wellness method, that's what we see.
And what people don't understand is it's silent. It can be silent and slow.
Yes.
And that's what people don't get, is like, you can go to the doctor and the doctor's like, your blood pressure's fine. This is fine. And this is fine. But if you continue on the path of unhealthy eating and all of those things, not exercising, not doing the different things that technically get you, de-inflamed.
Right.
It's slowly but surely, they may not catch it in your 30s, but it'll start creeping up in your 40s and your 50s. And you're like, I didn't know.
Right.
Doctor's been telling me I'm okay. Well, that's basically because kind of how those reports and things are set up to show you. They don't show you, what actual health is going to look like.
And it's also that theory of like you put a frog in boiling water and it's going to jump out right away because it knows that it's going to die.
But if you slowly turn heat up on a frog, they camp out. They don't think anything,
because they can't feel what's going on.
Exactly.
And so that's why it has been, we feel like it's important to unpack this message about body image, because if we stay focused on just making sure that everybody feels comfortable and accepted, which everyone needs to be.
Agreed.
But then we're overlooking the root cause of the health struggle. And like, there's no gray area when it comes to health. Like, there's specific health markers that, and this is the truth. And, it's that the insurance-based medical system is not going to show you those health markers.
No.
And like you said, when your blood pressure starts to come up, then what are they going to do? They're going to say, you need what?
You need medication.
And then your blood pressure will go back down because you're medicated and you think it's all good. I can keep rolling.
And so you're taking these things to cover up symptoms, but not dealing with the root issue. And, one thing I've learned since being here, which is really great, let me just say, to have gone through the program, and then working here, you get the full understanding.
Yeah.
I got a lot of education while I was going through the program, a lot of great education, but it's very interesting to be on this side of it now, because now I'm having to explain to people.
You're having that conversation.
I'm having that conversation.
What's that been like for you? Because I know you talk about how you had a coaching call with, certain people, and we don't ever, it's confidentiality. Right. But this issue has come up.
Yeah. So I've had some coaching calls and some, kind of in-person conversations with people about.
A lot of her friends are in the program.
Yes. And, people are, as they're getting healthy, they are looking a different way. And that can be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Especially when, you felt like you looked really great in a pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm. The curves were good.
The curves are good.
Backside looked great.
I mean, you were in the mirror just, hey girl, this is awesome. But now you're looking at your new self like, I don't know her. She's no longer attractive. And again, I hear that more so from the women of color than I do hear it from.
Because of the upbringing and
the cultural background, and again, stereotypes and things like that. So it's like, okay, but you don't know that's a lot of information.
Right.
You're going to, you stay in this way is great. Yes. From a outward appearance standpoint, but is your outward appearance looking great worth you really dying slowly on the inside? That
is a great point.
And
beautifully said.
People don't realize that. So now I'm trying to help people understand, allow your body to get healthy. Mm-hmm. Your body has compensated for you looking this way.
Right.
It's compensating. It's doing whatever it can to do. It's your heart rate's up, your blood. Yes. Right. Because it's working harder. It's trying to keep some stuff going.
Yeah.
But once you get healthy, you can rebuild all of that.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. Right. You can rebuild all of that from a healthy space versus trying to do it from a bad space.
And that was something that, Sharica and I, there's a phase of our program that, we love health and wellness, but there is a couple phases of our program, and I've done all the phases where we're just gutting it out, getting through it.
Yes.
And it's a needed phase, and many people go through it. But at the end of that phase, there's some things that the doc then puts in place to build you back to get you into the next phase.
Yes.
One of those is building muscle.
Yes.
And so Sharica we were talking about, and this happened to me too. And this is a big deal. Like when you have kids, you lose your butt anyway. But like when you have excess, weight on your butt and it looks good, and it's filling out your jeans.
Yes. And you're like, oh, this is great. You feel excited. You suddenly can look in the mirror and you feel good.
Right.
But to Judy's point, once you get done with certain phases, you're looking
at it a little bit. You're like, where the heck did that go?
But not
talk about building it back.
But not knowing that your body's healthy.
Exactly.
Now your inside is so much better.
Right.
But now it's like, you have to do this work. Mm-hmm. And that's the separator, being willing to do the work. So it's taken me a little while to rebuild, but I enjoy the rebuild process.
Exactly. And it's needed.
And I can rebuild, and I was able to rebuild my body in a fashion or in a way that I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I focused on my lower half first, because I wanted to look good in the pair of jeans. That's what my goal is.
Fill them out again. I'm all for that.
Yes, I wanted to fill my jeans back out. So I did what was necessary from a healthy space: the working out, the weights, the eating right, the understanding, having gone through the program, my DNA, what my body can and cannot take, in order to keep myself healthy. And being okay with how long or short of a period of time that may be for your particular body.
Yes.
You can.
Because everyone's different.
Yes, you can rebuild it. You just have to be okay with that part that doesn't look like you have anything left.
Right.
I mean, you have to be okay with that part that no longer looks how you used to.
And the beautiful thing about the building it back, because you said, you're in health, and now you start building it back, and you're putting muscle on your body, and you're crafting your body the way you want it to be. With that addition to your body, that is also promoting your health. Like your metabolism is younger. There's so many benefits from it.
Yes.
And you're still looking great in your jeans.
Yes. Yes. And I think sometimes, one thing I appreciate working here is how we can have that conversation to help you understand just all the benefits of working out.
Yep.
And I think sometimes that's what gets missed. And, as people are getting healthy, they don't understand the why.
Right.
Why do I need to do this? Well, you need to do this from a hormonal standpoint.
So many
from a
reasons.
body standpoint, all of that.
Right.
They don't get the why.
Right.
And here we really do a good job of explaining the why.
And I think the testing has a lot to do with that too.
Yes.
Like, this is why, and we'll prove it to you because numbers don't lie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, this is called the Master Your Thoughts podcast.
Yes.
And this whole thing that we're talking about, what we're leading to is helping you understand that we do have to reframe our thoughts when we're reframing our health and our life. Like, you can't leave your thoughts behind.
No, they have to come with you.
They're going to be trying to pull you back in the wrong direction. Exactly.
Because you've been a certain way for so long. The likelihood of you having been healthy versus unhealthy, you've probably been unhealthy for longer.
Yes.
So your mind is wrapped around that whole, the look, how to move, how to think, all is already there. Your body can change much, much more faster than your mind can.
Your body never says no to good health.
No,
it's your mind that does. Yes. So then the conversation, and I think this is why Sharica is so valuable in this regard, is the conversation is that we have to do the work in our mindset to equate heaviness to ill health and vitalness to good health. Mm-hmm. So it's flipping the script.
Yes.
And this isn't a skinny girls club. Okay. Because like you said, there's a lot of skinny white people and other ethnicities that are very unhealthy. And we've had a lot of them in here.
Yes.
So that's not what it's about. It's that their health markers signify ill health.
Yes.
And so it's about embracing what healthy really is. And that's when we're talking about, like, Sharica is all about the science. Like, I didn't know this about her until she started working here. And when you get around the doc, I just watch our team just get like on fire for the science, because the tests that we do, you can't refute it. Metabolic age. So these are the health markers that are going to determine whether you're in ill health or good health. Mm-hmm. And when you start changing, and like, Marcus's mom and your mom, their profile was showing good health. So the metabolic age is in line, the phase angle, the hydration, body composition, food sensitivity testing, blood testing, DNA profile, tests don't lie.
Yes.
So then, like you said, the mind has to catch up to what the body's doing.
Yeah.
So
what's so funny working here is, you understand numbers a whole lot better.
Oh yeah. And rely on them.
I mean, this famous rapper that I enjoy listening to, he said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
That's good.
And really,
it's true.
When you think about it, numbers are the only true thing.
Yep.
If you can prove it from a number standpoint, and back that up with all the science, why wouldn't you follow that?
Right. Because that's the truth.
Yes.
And we've been telling ourselves a lie.
It's the truth. 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Even with this new math out here, these kids are learning.
That'll take them half a page to show that, but it's okay.
But it's still 2, right? And these health markers for, in the Recreate program are helping to show you like this progress. Like, the portions of the program may not be the most attractive. I get it. But you can see your numbers are getting better. You can see you're getting help.
And you can't refute that.
You just have to work on the mind shift change. Hence, mastering your thoughts with Judy. Make sure you're listening and watching every day. But you have to get your mind wrapped around it.
So give us some guidance. Give our listeners and our watchers some guidance around what are your thoughts about that? How can you and we encourage people to, get their mindset right about this?
I think the first thing you have to do is really accept that you want to change, and then put different things in place to help you change. Like listening to, a podcast about your thoughts, getting some books around, changing your health, changing your mind. You have to feed your mind as much as you're, feeding your body to change. You got to feed your mind almost twice as much.
You do, because the mind is slower to respond.
The mind is slower to respond. I mean, if you think about how many relationships some of us have stayed in longer than we should have,
right.
it wasn't, our bodies probably want to stay there, but our mind was like, girl, you need to go, So here we are. So that's one. And then in some cases, you also have to be bold enough and courageous enough to know that you might be the first.
The first, like in your family,
in your family,
or in your kind of circle.
Yes. Whatever, family, friends, whatever, you have to be okay with being the first. Somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb.
That's right.
And somebody has to take the beating that, all the negative conversations that may come, oh, you're too thin, or, you don't, that dress looks weird, or you're not. And you have to be okay with being the first person to take that.
Right.
Because anybody else that comes along with you, they won't have that same thing.
No,
you've already
because you will already have been there.
Yes, you have started the new legacy.
Right.
Especially if you're, you got kids or a daughter coming behind you.
Yeah, you're changing the future.
Exactly. You're changing
of all the generations.
Yes, you're changing the narrative.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. And then I think the last thing is being willing and ready to divorce and grieve the old person that you were.
Yes. And that's
because
big.
One of the things in a conversation with a partner of ours that we had, she was just really expressing how much she's grieving this person she was before. She wasn't too far in the program, but she's already starting to grieve who she was. And I'm like, now that you say that, that makes sense.
It does.
Because you know how he or she functions. You know what he or she should eat. You know what he or she should wear, what kind of clothes he or she's. I mean, it's all these things that the future can be uncomfortable.
Right.
Because you don't know it.
It's unknown.
It's, you have to figure that out. We're here to help you. And that's what I enjoy about working here now, is I get to help people cross that bridge.
Right.
But you do have to release and divorce that person.
Yeah. And that's hard, because they're your best friend. You identify with that person in so many different ways. And you ask yourself, well, who am I if I'm no longer this person?
Exactly.
But that's the beautiful part. That's why it's called Recreate. That's why our program's called Recreate. Because why?
We're recreating not only your body, but your mind too. And I literally can't stress enough about how important the mind work is.
Yeah.
And people do not realize how valuable, we do all this investment from a career standpoint. We make all these investments from a financial standpoint. We will read every book known to man.
That's right. We'll pay for school, $100,000.
I mean, we will do everything it takes to get our mind wrapped around changing whatever, but we don't do the same thing in our bodies.
No,
but
because we're never taught that. We're never brought up.
No,
learning that.
No,
but we're changing that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. One person at a time. And that one person becomes a light to somebody else who becomes a light. So you literally just keep building this light bulb.
It multiplies.
Yes.
And we call our wellness partners bright lights.
Yes.
And you can see Sharica's a bright light, and she has shared her bright light with many, many, many people. And that's why not only is she coaching at Wellness Method, but when she's hanging out with her friends who are in the program, she's coaching them at that time too. But what has transpired has been a conversation like this, and her ability to say, wait a minute, there's something that's out of balance here that needs to be addressed. And hence this podcast, and hence now we'll be able to have this conversation. She'll be able to have it. All of our coaches will be able to have it. No matter if you're a woman of any color, it is something that is real, that we struggle with. And it really starts with the mind. It starts with the mind.
Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing is women here have been through it.
Yes.
I think sometimes, when you get to a space, a healthy space, people think you didn't have a struggle. People don't think you had to do this work. People don't think that you were in your bathroom crying and looking at the mirror too.
They just see the end result.
You see the end result. That's why you have all these random, pictures. The success, the work.
Right. Right.
You don't see the work, and it's even for all of us here, we've had those times.
Yeah.
And it's getting over those moments, continuing to put Post-it notes up, all over the house, all over work, wherever you need to, and keeping them up.
Right.
Even when people are coming into your house or coming into your office, they need to know
what you're doing.
This is what I'm doing, because it keeps you accountable, but keeps your mind focused on it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Oh, you guys. Well, this was such a great conversation. Yes. Thank you for coming. I would hug her, but it messes up our mics and everything. I love this girl. She is a bright light. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Yes. Share it because, as we're talking to you, I'm sure that it's triggering something in either you or you're thinking about somebody else.
Yes.
So share it. You actually will be sharing a light and helping others. Comment. You're going to find us on Facebook, on YouTube. We're on YouTube now. We're on all the podcast platforms. So it is being shared and people are getting well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Anytime. We'll see you on the next episode of Master Your Thoughts.